guests are here in studio with me. And of course, one of them is Robert Mancero. He's a producer, director, writer for over 10 years in the television film industry. After spending 3 years at Disney Studios, he formed his own production company, Full Vision Productions. And Robert has been honored with, instead of reading this long bio, Robert, tell us about yourself.
Basically, I come from a commercial music video background, done a lot of extreme sports, and now into the documentary filmmaking avenue.
So when you first got into TV, what did you do?
When I first got into TV, I was basically a temp. I walked on the Disney lot. I had no job whatsoever. I walked into a building and they go, "Are you the temp?" And of course I said yes. And I worked there, worked my way up, became a junior production executive, worked under Katzenberg, was in charge of quite a few films in development, and just got tired of the whole corporate scene because I wanted to go out and make films. So I left.
Now you're making independent films. Tell us about this new documentary you've made, Prescription Suicide.
Prescription Suicide is a look into the families affected by antidepressant drugs. And basically what it is, it's 6 stories of 6 kids told by the families. It's through their eyes, through their experiences, and there's no experts, there's no doctors telling you facts. It's just the families telling you what happened in their lives.
So you're personalizing it.
Absolutely. It's a very personal approach. When I first was brought the project, I was first going to do it the mainstream way. I was going to have, I had access to whistleblowers and pharmaceutical companies. I had access to senators and all kinds of experts on the subject. And, that's been done so many times. And what I wanted to do was to take the whole issue and bring it down to a personal level. And these are these families, these are kids who lost their lives, and some are still alive, who are affected by these drugs.
We also have somebody here with us riding shotgun today, and that's Gwen Olson, Confessions of an RX Drug Pusher, and God's Call to Loving Arms. And she's been on the inside and then had already gotten disillusioned, gotten out of the system, and then, even after she'd already gotten out of the system, then her niece died a just horrific death, like so many others that have taken this drug. And then we learned that even in the testing of the drugs, it came out that they knew it radically increased suicidal tendencies, the opposite. So we'll tell that story and talk about our book. Gwen, we're about to break in 30 seconds, but when we get back, what are some of the issues you specifically want to talk about?
I just want to talk about how prevalent this problem is and how it's been, kind of swept under the rug for so many years, and the dangers that exist in taking these pharmaceuticals and giving them to our children.
All right, folks, we're going to be right back after this quick break. And understand 15+%, it's 15 plus, it's almost 16% of American children are now on these drugs. So it's the same number with adults, may even be trending higher. Think about it, 15% of our population, and the drug companies' own documents say they want half of us on them. What do they really do? What are they made out of? What is it causing? You need to stay with us. Robert Mancero, he is an Emmy Award-winning documentary filmmaker. In '96, he won Best Director for a sports documentary series. And now he's gotten into, making films about what prescription drugs are doing. The new film, Prescription Suicide. The bio's long. He didn't really toot his horn in the last section. He has, of course, won awards and screened his films at the Cannes Film Festival for a film, Code Blue. And it just goes on. And I'm really excited that Full Vision Productions, and that's the website, fullvisionproductions.com, and his company is getting into really serious issues like the millions of our children and adults being ravaged by these psychotropic and amphetamine-type stimulant drugs. And the website is prescriptionsuicide.com. I want to first get into Gwen Olson's new book, Confessions of an RX Drug Pusher. This just came out. Gwen, tell us about your personal story, what happened to your niece, how they, I heard you speak of how they tried to force her back on the drugs, and she was really doing well. She had a big future ahead of her. It all started with a car wreck, and then I want to go through why you decided to write this book, and even your own personal experiences with these companies. Please share with us.
Well, Alex, I was actually a pharmaceutical rep for over 15 years, and I started my career in the industry with Johnson & Johnson with one of their subsidiaries, McNeil Pharmaceutical. And that is really where I got my education in psych drugs, because I used to sell one of the older neuroleptics, Haldol. And I don't know if you're familiar with haloperidol, but that is a complete chemical lobotomy drug. That's pretty much what it is. And it's also one of the drugs that was reportedly used when the Soviets were doing mind control on dissidents in the 70s. You may have heard about that. And so that was one of the drugs that I was selling at that time. And I was also a hospital representative, so I was calling on psych wards in hospitals. I was calling on geriatric facilities, nursing
So
homes.
you were witnessing this.
Absolutely. Not only was I being educated by the pharmaceutical manufacturer about their perspective, I was seeing from a personal perspective what the drugs actually did to people in real life. And of course, it took a long time. I'm not going to say that I woke up one morning, and said, oh, wow, I'm in the wrong industry or whatever. It was a series of events over a period of years where I became more conscious about what was happening. I do believe there's a lot of people, just like I was in the pharmaceutical industry, that are very naive. They don't come with medical backgrounds. A lot of them are cheerleaders or very gregarious, good-looking women and young men that could actually be actors or...
I actually saw a report on that. That's who they're hustling. Right out of high school, they're recruiting these really good-looking cheerleaders, and that's the core now, is the good-looking girl coming in. Hey, I got some happy pills for you.
That's right. And when I started in the industry in 1985, there really weren't that many women in the industry. So I was kind of breaking in. Maybe, a third of the population of the sales reps were women. And I was a former beauty queen. And so, I think that was probably the profile that I fit. I wasn't a cheerleader, but, intelligent, good-looking women is what they were looking for at the time, because they worked harder, they got past more receptionists, they got to see more doctors, and they were paid less. So that was really a win-win situation for the manufacturer. But after a while, after I had been in the industry for a while, and I was primarily a specialist rep, so I received some extensive education, some higher education. I'd actually go through some of the programs, the preceptorships that doctors went through for their training. So my training was pretty phenomenal. And as I started to compile that knowledge over the years, I started realizing, whoa, I'm not being told the whole story here. And they're not allowing me to say things, they're not allowing me to disclose things that should be disclosed for, the benefit of the patient. It seemed to be, the attitude that if a drug caused an adverse reaction, don't withdraw the drug from the patient, but add another drug to counteract, the symptoms that they're now getting. So as I started seeing this thing happening, and as my consciousness began to evolve, I got very disillusioned. Not only did I get disillusioned, but I had several adverse drug reactions myself.